Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am GILLIANBERRY, and today we have an awesome guest and an awesome story for you guys. We have Skye Conway on. She is a friend of mine, and she recently did a cleanse where she ate nothing but grapes for 3 weeks. That's right. I believe she did 21 days. And I did this cleanse not too long ago, a year ago or so, 28 days on nothing but grapes after reading the Grape Cure, where she reversed her cancer, I believe it was breast cancer, on eating nothing but grapes and went on to heal or to reverse other people with the same thing. So I love this cleanse, and I know you guys do as well. So let's get into it. Hey, Skye, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. You are just beaming. You look fantastic all the way over in sunny, beautiful Australia. And what a long way you've come in your health journey. You've been on the channel before and you talked about how you transformed your life going raw vegan. So I will try put a picture on the screen right now of you before, and people can just see how far you've come. It's absolutely mind blowing. How are you feeling?
I feel absolutely incredible, and I think I was just saying to you before that I thought I felt good going raw vegan, and I did. But after this cleanse, I feel even better, it's amazing. This whole journey is incredible. So, yeah, I feel good.
Amazing. And you were saying you ran into somebody this morning who knew you before you began this health journey, right? And they saw such a huge difference as well.
Yeah, so when I first started, I was living in just a small apartment, and once I discovered fruit and vegetables, the only things I was able to do because I still wasn't well is sit outside and eat the fruit and dunk in the water. It was winter, and I'd go down and have a dunk in the ocean, and we'd talk about the benefits of the ocean and the minerals, and we talk about fruits, and we talk about how to have them in the sun and even the moonlight, and all of that had culminated into me and her seeing me doing Pilates, yoga, running, and I just love her smile. It's amazing to see somebody so happy when they can see someone's changed.
Yeah, I love the change and I love you and the grape
I
cleanse.
love
So I think this is such an underrated cleanse. And I think it's great because it can be more cost effective than other cleanses. I love juice cleansing and other cleansing as well, mono fruit cleansing on watermelon, things like that. But the grape cleansing is interesting. It's amazing because you can incorporate a real variety of different grapes. When I do it, I put in a bowl green grapes, cotton candy, red grapes, all these grapes. So I feel like it's not as boring as maybe some other cleanses where you're just doing the one fruit because you get a variety of the same one fruit and you still get the insane effects. To me, this was the deepest cleanse I'd ever done. So let's talk about for you. What first inspired you to do this? How was it when you started?
Okay, so I think I've told you on this channel before that when I discovered raw foods, it was by intuition and accident. I stumbled across it and got better. And I actually couldn't really read, write, or concentrate when that happened. So I was really relying at that stage on photographs from like Instagram of what people ate. As I got better and could read, I was drawn to Dr. Morse. And I found it fascinating. And I haven't really been drawn to that many other people, but the idea that there's kind of levels. You've got vegetables, and he talks about angstroms of food where they're sitting at the electromagnetic energy of them is sitting at 8,000. And if you go up to fruits, it's 12,000. And grapes being the highest, melons and berries, I think, just under. And then if you listen to Dr. Moss, how he cures everything. And he just states basically the harder you need to go into it. And yes, he will use herbs to help, but basically he just keeps talking about grapes. And when he gets unwell, he goes back to grapes. That stuck with me. And then I stumbled across Joanna Brandt's The Grape Cure. And that she had a stomach cancer. She fasted till so many times it didn't help the grapes. Then she was curing all sorts of people with cancer, like thousands of people. Then I got a tooth pain, and I knew the pain. I'd had root canal done when I was not well. And I ran to the dentist. I'm like, I can't take this. And he's like, we never finished the root canal. It's still a big hole up there and everything's kind of getting in it. And I was getting neuralgia. And so he said, I need to do 3 more times, go clean out what's going on. And then anyway, so I started with the first one that he did, which was, go up, clean it. All of a sudden, I was in so much pain. I could not see. I needed pain medication. I was so distressed. The trauma of being trapped again in my bed and all that was just horrible. So I called, this went on for 4 days. So I called him and I said, I can't go through this again. Like, what are my options? And he said, if it's that bad, you're going to have the tooth pulled. I was talking to other people who are actually raw vegans and they suggested have it pulled. And so I'm like, right, I'll get it pulled. When I booked and I'd have to have anesthetic, and I'm like, I can't do this again. This is me. And I was feeling the old patterns come back of being unwell. And
Mhm.
that's when I thought, Skye, you have watched and read Dr. Morse. You know, you tell other people to go higher up with the fruits. Why not you do it? It's no different. So it's really about shifting back when you get in that trauma state, just shift into, you know, this new world that I use of healing. And I just knew grapes. So with that, I said, no, I wouldn't cancel the surgery straight away, but I went on to grapes. And can I tell you, those first 3 days, oh my God, I don't think you can feel any better. It's
Yeah.
like, well, like I was in pain still, but that migraine had settled down. I was the only, at the first 3 days, I did get sweats at night and very vivid dreaming. Like, I mean, I could wake up and I felt like I was just stepping out of the dream. Like I just done the dream. It was so real. That's incredible. As I went on, I could feel like, how do you say it? Kind of moody, like trying to, I guess, balance. Like, I guess we do all rely on food a lot. It made me realize how much I rely on food for my mood. But
Mhm.
I was pretty good, pretty stable. And then on the weekend, by that weekend, so about day 7, I started to get flu symptoms.
Wow.
Well, quite intense flu symptoms, but it's not the same as getting a virus or anything where you ride the 5 days out. It just comes, your body's kind of doing something and then it subsides, and a
Hmm.
bit of tiredness. By days 8 and 9, I felt great again. I was going great. The tooth pain actually left on day 4, I should say. So that,
Wow.
yeah, day 4, I would get pings of it again, but by day 4, it was gone. I was feeling clearer, lighter. I could run faster at the start, but I
Wow.
then really cut off on exercise. I really would only do 40 minutes a day. I was usually doing like quite a lot. So that was then we're into the next week now. By about day 10, day maybe 9 or 10, I started to feel it quite fatigued and was starting to go into bed, like needing to rest a lot and not being able to concentrate. I was starting to get like nervous twitches as well. And my eye was kind of twitching. I wasn't thinking clearly. So I'd go to speak to people
Wow.
and I'd have to not stop, but I wouldn't remember what I was saying. It was, and I hadn't, since I'm going raw, my brain is like firing really well. It was like a whole lot of neurological symptoms. And the actual person I bought my grapes of, and I will say at the moment, I'd been having non-organic grapes. So the fruit shop, she said, aren't you worried about all the sulfides? And I was like, oh, I'll be fine. Dr. Moore says, if this is all you can get, this is all you can get. So, she actually said to me the sulfides, and I said, no, 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 I'm fine. This is when I started to think, hang on a second, maybe, like, I don't know. I had this intuition again about organic, like, you know, you're eating a lot, guys. So I was eating at the start probably 2 kilograms a day. I was blending some into like a sorbet as well, just freeze them, blend them. That was good. But yeah, I had this calling for this like organic. So knowing that there'd be so many sulfides if you're having 2 kilos a day. We're not talking about a handful of grapes here. So that day I could barely get through work, but I stopped off, got organic grapes within a couple of hours. Oh my gosh, the difference. I started to,
Wow.
like, everything started to settle, the tiredness went, and I started to feel great, like great on grapes. So that really made a huge difference for me. And I don't use chemicals, I'm chemically sensitive. So this was really good. I kept going on the grapes and I was doing, there was no, like, I wasn't really getting any, like, I had a bit of constipation. I will say everything wasn't moving as fast through me, but I just kept going. And then it was why I stopped was towards days like 20, I started to get tired. There was no neurological symptoms, just really tired. And by day 21, I was in bed. And for me, my brain is not ready to go back there. So I felt during it as well that the tooth had gone. I could feel it ping every now and then. But the other thing that happened by the end, and it's because we have to understand, a lot of fruits are acidic in the mouth. It's when you digest them that they become alkaline. So my mouth became quite inflamed. So I had other teeth which were getting sore. And I know if you read Dr. Morse's,
Mhm.
is it the detox source
The Detox
book?
Miracle Source book.
Yeah. you will read that you can get quite a lot of teeth problems when you're detoxing. But I wasn't ready for all that, so I stopped. Yeah, and that's the cleanse.
Wow, and 21 days, that's a long time. I mean, and initially you set out to do 40, I think, right? Which is what I set out to do, and I did 28.
So when I set out, I actually don't commit to anything because that worked when I went into raw. So I try not to lock my brain in, but I was very aware of everyone going in for 40 days. So I was aiming for that, but also knowing that Dr. Morse says that the greatest healing is done. You can heal within 3 weeks to 6 weeks. So cancers and stuff as well. A lot of things he heals in that period of time. Others can go on for a long period of time, but he says a lot. So I had that in my mind as well.
Yeah, and I just wanna say go see your doctor and everything too, obviously, but do
Yes.
you think it was worth it? Do you feel like this cleanse was worth it? And what do you think were, like, your 3 favorite parts about this cleanse or the 3 main benefits?
Okay. Oh my gosh, there is so many benefits for it. But what I wasn't prepared for is how good I feel now. I
Wow.
can't explain how I feel like, I guess it's part of detoxing, right? It's lifted a lot out of my body that I wasn't aware was still there. I think when you get well on raw foods, I thought, this is so good compared to how I was. This is it. This is like living. And now I feel lighter, my digestion's faster. I feel clearer. When you go on it, you really it's unlike anything else because you're connected spiritually, you're light, you have no mucus. So I didn't even know that I was having mucus until you are on just
Yeah.
something so stringent. And I might just say here that people are probably thinking, why use grapes? What is so special about grapes? And what is first spoke about the electromagnetic energy of the grapes, which being like 12,000 angstroms, which is the highest out of all. But the other benefits of grapes, they're alkalizing to the body, like highly alkalizing once you eat them. But the thing I think which stands out the most is the astringency of them. So if you think of what happens to your mouth when you have a lemon, how your mouth kind of puckers, and when you eat grapes are very astringent. You will also feel that when because you're only eating grapes, you feel that astringency. But what that actually does is it tenses or like contracts the muscles of the mouth if the lemon's in the mouth. But if you've only got grapes going through, all the cells of your body are purging, like they're contracting, and I think to me, that's the strongest like draw card of why they're so good. But sorry, jumping back to your question, the why what was so great about it is also grapes are quite easy to eat and it's summer here, right? So as you said, they weren't expensive. You could go carry them everywhere and you just pop them in your mouth. But also your brain is so clear. Besides when you're going through a few detox symptoms, my brain was just like "Whoo, whoo, whoo," especially at the start, like those first 3 days. Even if you want to try it and do 3 days, I mean, we're all different, but it's just electric. But yeah, the greatest thing I was never prepared for is how I feel now, and that is like
Wow.
amazing.
Amazing, and crazy what you're saying. I noticed that too, because even last year, I think I did just a couple days too around my birthday. I think I did 3 days on grapes or something. And even just by the end of the first day, I remember it was my
Yeah,
birthday and we were going to a hotel an hour away. And I was like, I'm just gonna eat grapes. And I felt so good by even the afternoon. So even if somebody just wants to do 1 day, it's a great
yeah,
break for your digestion. And then as your digestion gets a break, like your mind gets so clear because there's such a connection between our gut and our brain, right? And
yeah.
I know, like, for me, out of all the cleanses I've done, a watermelon monofruit cleanse, a grapefruit cleanse, a grape cleanse, a juice cleanse, out of all the cleanses, I like them all. But I feel like the grape was the most effective at detoxing. It felt like it was so detoxing. And for me, I felt such, like you were saying with the mucus and stuff, I felt such a detoxing happen through like my sinuses and the way I breathe
Yes,
and my lungs. And they say there's a
yeah.
correlation because they say the grapes look like the lungs and they really target the lungs. So it just like I never in my life breathed how I was breathing on the grapes. And did you get that effect too, like all through your lungs? So I think it can be great, especially if somebody has ever smoked. I haven't smoked, but I did grow up in the 80s where there was a lot of secondhand smoke and stuff. So I do feel like that targeted that and had those benefits. Did you feel that as well?
100%. I will say that, especially, I think that's why it was such, though I felt weak at times, it was easier to run because you felt lighter. But yes, you're right. My lungs felt clear, like amazing. It's interesting when you add foods back after something like this, and they're just fruits and organic. I only eat organic now, occasionally not, but mostly organic. Is I believe it's, you've eaten grapes for such a long period of time, your body is like sitting at that set level of knowing what, pH is coming in, what chemical reactions taking place. Once you put something different in, you notice mucus straight away, even if it was just watermelon. It's like this shift your body isn't used to, and it's an incredible feeling, that clearness in the lungs, and the ability to breathe, and the
Yeah.
spiritual connection as well. And the more time I spend in the sun, I just felt even better. And
And I've never seen you. You've never looked better. This cleanse, like, but you definitely look so amazing. You're shining from what's going on the inside. Did you feel a big difference in your skin? I know for me, when I did grapes, my skin was never better. My eyes were never brighter. I think that's when I looked my best. And I look back at the videos I did at the end of those, people were like, you look so good. I think it just really makes you glow, right?
it does, it does. My Very quickly, as soon as this occurred, so before I started this, something must have been causing a lot of acidity in my body, because I noticed my at the start of, sorry, this, when I went raw, my hair stopped falling out, as to I could comb it and nothing would come out. And then for the last probably 4 months before this, I noticed in my comb, there was more hair. Well, there was hair coming out when I combed, not much, but there was some. And my nails, within a few days of doing this, my hair felt stronger. It's like my nails felt stronger. You can feel like your whole venous system, like the blood, just you feel incredible. But I also wanted to touch on looks for a second, because I think in this society we attribute a lot of like materialism to looks. But if you just look at me when I was sick compared to now, and I even speak to my nieces and they're just little about this, and it's that my body is healthy. Like, I feel like I should have always looked like this, but I just wasn't aware. It just that, I remember I'm at the end of
Yeah.
summer, so obviously I'm a lot tanner than you being at, at just the start
No,
of
but
spring. But I look at it as in, I guess that's how I look at, you know, health now. I see me as being healthy, and I like that I look good and can represent what I do.
yeah, that's like for me, I never really felt pretty or felt like I looked good until I went raw and started eating really clean. And then if I'd ever have cheat days or anything like that, it's funny, it doesn't make me feel as attractive or feel as good, like just how it just totally affects you like inside and outside. And I just want to say too, there's just so much that I want to talk to you about in this, but it's also interesting how the pesticides affected you. Like this
Yeah.
is crazy. So I think grapes are one of the worst things for pesticides. I think it's on the dirty dozen, whatever on those lists for one of the worst. But yeah, when I did my grape cleanse, I was eating some non-organic too because it's really hard to get enough organic grapes here to do that cleanse. But I've heard that the pesticides can affect us neurologically like that and stuff. So it's just unbelievable. And it's so fascinating to me that when you switch to organic, then those symptoms went away and then the grape cleanse resumed like nicely. That's fascinating, right?
Yeah, it's quite incredible. So I am chemically sensitive as it is. So everything I rarely use anything. If I've got a little bit of like makeup on, it's edible grade. It's like it's like the most, natural areas. I use just rosemary water on my hair with some coconut oil. And when I had the grapes, I had not thought of that. As in, I was washing them in bicarb, and I guess I've always been told when I do some interviews with people, I was always told about, if they've got this fruit's got the skin on it, you need
Hmm.
to go organic. And I think that's a good rule, but I feel even better now, I believe, because I'm also having organic. So, but I was also going to say that, being as sick as long as I was, I've also read other raw vegans, it takes about 2 to 3 years. Like, I'm so sensitive. I'm set off just walking into a laundry with laundry detergent. Like, my whole nervous system starts to, like, I get headaches. It's horrible. And this can go on for up to 3 years. Well, it might go longer, who knows? So I was going in with that. So when you say you were doing really well, and I'm sure lots of people do, yeah, just, I guess it's good to be mindful of these things when you go into it, isn't it? Like,
Mhm.
it's another tool in your packet. If things aren't going right and you're not using organic, it may not be the grapes, it may
Mhm.
be something else. It's good to just know these things.
Yeah, and on the days where it was going good, when you were back on the organic and, like, everything was good, would you say you had high energy levels? I know people, when they do these cleanses, they can be scared that they just need to stay bedbound for them and they're not gonna have enough energy. But for me, like, when I do them, I have so much energy as long as I'm consuming a lot of calories. So how was
Yeah.
that for you, like, on the normal days?
I had high energy most of the time. I won't say it was like extreme high. I will say what I was struggling with was more, I guess, a lot of foods probably had been regulating my mood. So always, I was always a salad person. After
Mhm.
this cleanse, I'm now a fruit person. All I want is fruit. But I was always the salty, savory person. And I think I regulated a lot of my mood by I'd get through the fruit and yeah, I'll do it. But then, yay, at night I get my salad. And it was a shift, I think, mentally, and I will say, I think that mentality comes from the society we grow up in, where at night you do have the savory meal, right? I was kind of
Mhm.
holding on to that. But once you let that go and you have that appreciation for life instead of food, like, so instead of living for, what I was doing, which was food, um, you living for just in the present. Yeah, I will say it was high. I just will say also that it was like an ebb and flow of ups and downs for me.
Mhm.
I was still feeling I was functioned. So I
And
was
you were ready to break it when you broke it, right? I remember at 28 days, I was gonna go to 40 days or something, and I was just like, "I'm ready to break it." I broke it with a salad, and I don't think that's the most ideal way to break a fruit cleanse like that, but I don't know, but I felt great, and I felt like it was the right thing to do. So how did you break it? And you felt like it was the right time, right?
yes. So first off, I will say that people have said, "Did you get cravings?" I had no cravings throughout this, and I will say that leading up to it, I was all through summer doing mono meals of fruit anyway, so that was a big thing. But also, my trick is stay full. Like, make sure you've eaten enough, and then you're fine. So at the end of it, I had no cravings until day 20 and 21, where all I could think of was greens. All I could think of was rocket coriander. Wasn't anything like hamburgers, it was greens. And I'm like, my body is telling me something. And at this stage, I was in bed and I was shaking. And I thought, I'm not going through this if it's all I need is greens. So I also broke it with greens. It's probably not ideal, but it was hard to digest, yes, but it slowly, I won't say instantly, but it slowly over the next few days, the more greens I had, and then I craved them and bananas
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah. And how were your bowels? So, if as long as that's not too much information, but I
No,
know people will
so
ask.
this I struggled with. I don't know if anybody else gets this, but if I do only fruit, I seem to get more constipated. Not totally stopped, but things are slower, and that happened on the grapes. Do be mindful that I don't most of my stomach's missing, my duodenum is missing, top of my intestines are missing from surgery and from my past. So I believe that would all play into what goes on. But as soon as I add something like greens back, or a less watery fruit, like banana, I seem to be moving again. But
Wow.
that was me. And I've been asked about the mucoid plaque, and no, there was
No.
nothing. That.
Yeah. Interesting. Whenever I start a cleanse like that, sometimes I'm a bit more backed up and a bit bloated and slows down a
Right.
bit, but then it, like, gets better than ever. So usually if that happens, it's only for a
Oh,
few days, maybe 5 days max, and then that goes away and things are, like, really moving better than ever. My stomach's flatter than ever. So what about your weight? I know you look amazing, but people might ask, so did
yeah.
your weight change at all on it or no?
So it did. And would you believe that it didn't really change until I went organic? Everything went flatter, and at the start, yes, there was probably like 1 kilo, 2, but just know it was like that's more like water buffering, right? When your body's inflamed, we're all a bit inflamed in some level. Then I've lost probably like 3 kilos. I've actually lost weight coming off it. So
Wow.
since I'm off it, it's like my digestion is moving everything so fast, and I'm able to exercise again more. I feel like in the past week, I haven't weighed myself. I'm just guessing here. My clothes are all loose, but that occurred more once I came off the grapes. And that's where I'm coming
Mm.
back into that I've got more energy now to do more exercise. I'm eating like, I don't know, whatever I feel like is very basic. I before would have very fancy salads. Now I'm just really wanting greens, like
Wow.
green fruit. It's everything feels like it's changed. My biggest change is after this, like it getting through it, and I did it, and that healed the tooth, and that was a great motivator. But I guess I was not prepared for. I've never done a cleanse before, like a proper cleanse this long. So yeah.
Interesting about the tooth too. And yeah, when I did that cleanse or when I've done other fruit cleanses, my teeth have never felt cleaner. I think maybe some people are worried they might have problems because of the sugar or whatever, but that definitely hasn't been the case for me on those cleanses. My teeth always feel like so good on the cleanses.
Mm. I so it's actually like the sugar that is what the bacteria likes, and then bacteria excretes like what we would call is like plaque and the smells. And if you're only eating one food, you don't get the same chemical reaction as if you've got other foods in your mouth. So that shouldn't be, people need to, I guess there's a lot to read into. We're all at a different stage with our teeth. But I will say when I first came off this, I made a mixture of greens. So I put in it, because everyone asked me, I put in it baby spinach, coriander. I juiced all this, a thumb of ginger and a thumb of turmeric. I juiced it all and made this like green mix I carried with me. So what I noticed is once I came off the grapes, my gums were bleeding a lot towards the end. Like I was really inflamed.
Wow.
I noticed as soon as I had the greens and brushed my teeth that night, there was no blood. Like I was spitting up a lot of blood. But look, I've heard of all sorts of detox symptoms, right? Then when I'd go next day to eat mostly fruit and grapes, the bleeding would come back. If I and my teeth would get really sensitive. If I gargled with the greens,
Hmm.
it just alkalizes your mouth. And my teeth might have been a bit green, but I didn't mind. I would just gargle it, spit it out after each meal, and I was fine. And I actually got that an idea from, Jeff that juices.
Mhm.
He
Yeah.
uses something similar, not with greens. He has his own mixture
Mm.
with apple cider vinegar and stuff because he had problems with his teeth. And it seems that, if you've got a, like, I don't know, the greens seem to alkalize. That's how I saw it. And I just wanted to keep it simple. So there's an idea. If I went into it again, I would make sure I had the greens if my gums got inflamed to do
Yeah.
during, just after.
Okay, interesting. Well, when you were doing it, what was your protocol? Because I know people always ask me, like, did you still consume seeded grapes? How many grapes a day? How much did it cost you? Did you stop eating at a certain time?
So I found what works for me was, and remember, I'm missing most of my stomach. So it was best for me to just graze. So when I wanted some, I would have some. It would still revolve around, I would probably start eating anytime I liked from after 8 o'clock, probably in the morning. Usually I would not eat till after 11. But because I knew I needed to consume more calories and get them going through. And I found my stomach kind of shrunk on this, whatever's there. The area or volume wouldn't contain as much. So it was like just a constant of eating. And I found that worked for me because I didn't get hungry. I probably stopped by about 7.
Mhm.
But if I did get hungry later on, though, I had no problem having a few grapes. As for how much I ate, I would order a box of 10 kilograms. So I think that's like 22 pounds. And that would last me 4 days. Please remember when you get organic grapes, you're going to get what the weight that also comes into that is there will be some grapes you don't eat, right? So some are
Mhm.
always thrown away. There's also the stalks. So I guess I kind of put it down to, in the end, I was eating anywhere from like about 2.5 kilos still a day is what I would like to say,
Mhm.
uh, up to 3, and also blending like some sorbets. I know a lot of people find they get more benefits from juicing grapes as well, but I just am not, with the way my stomach is, I'm not great with juice. I can have small
Mhm.
amounts, but it's not a great calorie intake for me. So yeah, that was my protocol. It was very much, I'm of the mindset that I'm doing baby steps. So when I found the raw foods, I kind of built myself up to what is, high fruit, intermittent fasting. I didn't start there. And I kind of felt with my first cleanse, if I can just get grapes in, this has got to help. So I'm definitely not a detox or graping expert, grape expert, but that works for me. I'm sure if I did this once a year or something, I would refine it over time and adjust it. But this was my training wheels.
Yeah,
Time
and you do I feel like you know a lot on it because you read the Grape Cure, you're informed on a lot of Dr. Morse's works, and you've done it yourself, so there's no greater story. I love hearing real stories too, and it's
Yeah.
amazing. So you're glad you did it, you would recommend it to somebody if they were asking?
Yeah, I would. I'll be honest here and say, if you're raw, go for it. I'm not sure how it is for people who aren't on a raw diet going that way. But even if you get 4 days in or something, I feel like you'll notice the benefits. Like, I'm just so surprised over how I feel now.
Wow, I know, I'm so surprised at the benefits it's had after, and that's great because
Yeah.
that's what you want if you're gonna do a cleanse, right? Because people don't wanna just do a cleanse and then all the benefits stop and everything goes back to normal after. So you wanna benefit from it after as well, and you definitely have. And I do feel like it can still I mean, do your research, but I feel like it can still benefit people even if they're not raw. I know my mom tried it
Yeah.
about I think it was about a year ago or so, I forget how long ago, and I forget how many days she did, but she was like, "I'm only eating grapes and I feel amazing." She felt so great, and she is not raw, so, yeah, it's
Wow.
really great. Well, this has been great, I've loved hearing your story. This cleanse people message me about this cleanse all the time, so if there's anything you feel like I missed that you wanna share about this cleanse, then absolutely get it out, I would love that.
I guess what I wasn't prepared for, and I went in with desperation, is just how good I feel now. And I think when you're doing these, you need your why. You know, because you're doing this around people who, are eating all different things, and you're so used to your diet, even if it's going from raw, is hold on to your why. And for me, it was the tooth. But if you have a reason, it just is such a motivator. I mean, I use music with it, like, I listen to really strong, powerful songs, that always helps me. But the truth is, if you hold on to your why, that can get you through anything. And I also yeah, I think do it your way. Don't feel so restricted. As long as you're eating enough and you feel good, I think that's important as well. But,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think we touched on everything.
Yeah, and did we say I can't remember if we said, did you use any herbs or no?
No, none.
No. Yeah, I didn't when I did mine either. I know some people when they do the grape cleanse, they use Dr. Morse's herbs, I believe, when they do it, but
Yeah, and I
I didn't either. But it was still a deep cleanse even without the herbs. So if those aren't in somebody's budget or they don't want to order them, then you can do it without those for sure.
Yeah, I also believe that if you're wanting to heal something really specific, I would understand how, with a body like that and you're breathing, how efficient herbs would be. Like, you could
Mm,
really do some deep healing because your body's energy, you've got all this energy, right? It's not going into digestion. That's the key. So then it
mhm.
can go into other things. So that's, yeah,
Yeah.
Dr. Moss is amazing.
Yeah, he is really amazing. I'll link his video below because he's been on the channel as well before. And you've been on the channel as well before. I think you've been on 2 or 3 times. I think twice. You made a raw vegan pizza for us, which is absolutely amazing. Skye's recipes are incredible. So go check out her ebooks and her website. And you came on for your before and after raw story, which is just like mind-blowing, out of this world. I'll link that as well. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up right now and make sure to subscribe if you don't already. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.
Bye.